Let's move on to the next case where the QA engineer might use ChatGPT, and that is 4. Assistance with test design of manual test cases. A QA engineer may turn to ChatGPT during the test design phase for various purposes, such as 1. Creating test cases. ChatGPT can provide structured and detailed test cases during the test design phase, ensuring comprehensive coverage of positive and negative scenarios of the testing component. Let's consider the example of such process. Imagine that the QA team is involved with the project for testing e-commerce website which sells the clothing. The project is at the development stage, and the next component that almost developed and will be ready for testing soon is logging flow. Thus, the QA engineer needs to prepare the corresponding test cases in order to test these components and ensure the quality of testing. The login form will consist of 3 fields: username, email, password. In order to speed up the process of writing test cases and not to miss important scenarios of inputting data into the login form, the tester decides to use ChatGPT. For this reason, the QA engineer navigates to Chat and inputs the sentence prompt: generate the test cases for validating the login functionality of a web application that consists of 3 fields: username, email, password. And the ChatGPT responds providing a list of corresponding test cases that cover the various scenarios which tester can use to ensure the robustness of the system, such as valid login scenarios, invalid login scenarios, empty field handling, etc. When testing forms, each input field has its own validation requirements that must also be tested. For example, the password field of this login form has the following validation: from 3 to 15 characters, at least 1 letter is uppercase, at least 1 number. To test the password field of the login form, the QA engineer decides to ask ChatGPT to assist with writing the test cases using the boundary value and equivalence partitioning test design techniques. For this reason, the tester navigates to ChatGPT and inputs the prompt: write test cases for the password field using the boundary value and equivalence partitioning test design technique. Also, QA engineer adds requirements below the sentence prompt, such as from 3 to 15 characters, at least 1 letter is uppercase, at least 1 number. And the ChatGPT responds providing a list of corresponding test cases based on the requirements. It's quite helpful when dealing with lots of equivalent classes and boundaries, saving the tester time to perform testing more effectively. Also, if QA engineer doesn't have a lot of time for testing and writing test cases is time-consuming, the tester might ask ChatGPT to write the checklist for testing the corresponding functionality. Let's consider the example of such process. Imagine that the QA team is involved with the project for testing e-commerce website which sells cosmetics. The team consists of 2 QA engineers. The project is currently on the development stage and system testing should start soon. Since the testing team consists of only 2 people and writing test cases is time-consuming, they decide to write a checklist for testing such website using ChatGPT. For this reason, the tester navigates to ChatGPT and inputs the sentence prompt: give me a checklist for testing the e-commerce website that sells cosmetics. And the ChatGPT responds providing a checklist for testing an e-commerce website that sells cosmetics, consisting of all scenarios that QA might need to cover for the basic functionality of such websites, such as functionality testing, user account management, payment integration, SEO, etc.